welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Happy Saturday. It is the weekly energy card reading. What that is every week you, the viewer, get to choose from one of 3 tarot or oracle decks. And what we'll do is we'll do a quick spread to see what the general energies will be like for the next 7 days. It does not need to be the week of December 19th through December 26th, 2020 in order for the messages to resonate. If you come across the video at any time, there might be messages contained for you. There is a saying in card reading, we say take what resonates and leave the rest. So we definitely, all of the videos I post are for entertainment purposes only. I like to think of cards, reading cards, like dream interpretation. I just look into the symbols and see what it means. So definitely we never have to take anything too seriously. And if you're interested in the cards that I use, the name and the authors are listed in the description box, as are timestamps. So if you ever want to skip the introduction and go straight to your reading, please do so, and the timestamps are listed there. So before we get started, I just had a few quick announcements. I wanted to thank everyone for checking out my channel in the last few days. I post a video series called How to Tarot. I also have done several specialty videos. This week in particular, yesterday, or this last the 16th of December, was Jane Austen's birthday, and what I did is I went ahead and posted a Jane Austen reading as well as a deck review. I did the same thing last year. I did a love reading on Jane's birthday, and I was actually kind of debating whether or not I should do it this year, and I'm so glad that I did, and I'm glad that we included the deck review, because I always get such a kick out of that. As a writer, as a reader, I love Jane Austen stories. I think they are they're so imbued with really good, modern, even today, by today's standards, there's such good morals in them, and such amazing themes, and that you can just derive such wonderful stories from it. And I just want to thank everyone for checking out that video. I'm so grateful. Actually, between the How to Tarots, the deck reviews, and the Jane Austen reading, I've exceeded a threshold. I've met a milestone. I've actually, we have more than 100 subscribers right now. So I am so thankful for every single one of you. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I am very, very grateful. Now, I did do a little bit of carryover from the reading. I was still kind of juiced up from the Jane reading. So I decided to go ahead and include the Jane Austen Tarot deck in this week's weekly energy card reading. And then I'm going to clarify using the same, the Oracle deck that I used in the Jane Austen reading, and it's right here. So after we pull the spread for your week, we're going to go ahead and pull Oracle cards from the Jane, it's called a Jane Austen Tarot, but really what it is it's a playing card deck that is Oracle based, and it has a few elements of tarot, but it's not a formal tarot deck. But I just thank you so much for checking out my channel. I do have such a good time filming these videos, especially the specialty ones. But the How to Tarots have been a lot of fun lately, and I always encourage, as we go through your weekly energy card reading, if you see a card that has kind of, sometimes one card, whether it be a minor or a major, might be kind of prominent in your read. If you feel like that energy is really prevalent, feel free to check out the How to Tarot, because I just feel like it helps flesh out, what the possible outcome of the energy is. And again, this is all energy, and energy changes from minute to minute, but it just kind of gives an overall spread for your week. Now, one other announcement I wanted to make real quick, and then we'll get into the reading. And again, if you ever want to jump straight to your reading, please feel free to click on the timestamp. I feel like if you follow me over on Instagram, I have an Instagram channel. It's soulsymbols.yt for YouTube. And what I do is I do pull cards for myself. So all of these oracle, sorry for the background noise. Whew. All right, hello. But all of these tarot and oracle decks do not go to waste. I do use them in my readings, but I do use them for myself as well. and especially the oracle decks. I pull cards almost every night for myself. And what you'll see is over on my Instagram channel, if you want to check it out, I post pictures of the daily energy, and I do feel like there's a collective energy to it. So if I see themes, if I see synchronicities, like similar themes, I'll post a picture of the cards over on my Instagram channel, and I'll do a brief reading to I in the title of the picture I talk about what I think it means, and I feel like it's a real collective energy. But what was interesting is I have this vintage oracle deck, and this is actually, you're going to see this deck when I do the deck review on the meditation and spiritual. I do have a deck that's more for meditation purposes. I have a series of decks for that. This one I actually saw on another channel. This deck is, it's called the Meditation Cards. They were published in 2002. You can still find them a little bit on, all of the same places that you go to find vintage decks, either on eBay or, sometimes Amazon sellers might be reselling a used deck. But I pulled this card, and this is really beautiful. It shows kind of a bird, and you see it kind of singing. And I feel like I always call it road signs, the reason I read cards is because I really do believe that that energies in the world speak to you in symbols. And I've said it before, there are times when I'm shown a symbol, and it's funny, this used to happen to me well before I started card reading too. But I would be shown a symbol, and then I'd kind of be scratching my head like, what in the world does that mean, right? And then the next day, like if I pull it's sometime I'll be shown a symbol, and then sometime soon after I get the message, get the symbol, I see what it means, right? I get the meaning. And I pulled this card a few nights ago, and it was interesting. I thought it flew out, and then I put it back into the card deck, and then it flew out again. And then the next day I tried to shuffle it back in, and it flew out again. So this was like my message for several days consecutively. And it says, focus on a bird song. And the paragraph reads, meditating on birdsong can soothe a troubled mind. Imagine your anxieties as a cacophony of animal sounds you might hear on a farm. Then above the background hubbub, imagine hearing the clear, soaring notes of a musical songbird. As you focus on the bird singing, notice that all the other noises fade away. Recall this technique when focused with anxieties in the future. It will help give you the clarity to face and resolve them. So I thought, okay, maybe I'm being stressed and the universe is telling me to chillax. But after I filmed the How to Tarot for the King of Swords, and if you check out that video, there's a timestamp where I talked about the myth of Zorro. And I've always looked at the King of Swords like he's Zorro, right? And I've always loved Zorro. And what was interesting is in that video I talked about a Zorro series that came out from 1990 to 93. It's called Zorro, but it was produced by New World Pictures, and it was distributed on Family Channel. And Family Channel has been acquired by ABC, and they became ABC Family, which became Freeform. And but that series was one of my favorites. It's very wholesome, it's a little cheesy, but I loved it. I felt like, and I watched it, that series came out when I was in my early teens, and it just really spoke to me. I thought all of the characters had depth. All of the stories had, all of the characters had backstories, and the episodes really talked about real world things. I mean, a few of them were cheesy, but a lot of them were just really interesting. It was a good channel, and it was something that little kids could watch. There was nothing scandalous in this show. And it was funny, after I filmed that video, I do have that series on DVD. I got that series because it was part of my childhood, and I loved it so much. It's distributed by A&E. But I got the DVD, and I started watching it. I started watching it again, and it was wonderful. I filmed the How to Tarot. I started watching the show, And there's one episode that's called A Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. And what it talks about is, it talks about, Don Diego de la Vega being a pen pal. And you talk about, swords, right? The Queen of Swords, King of Swords, they're very good at communicating. They're good pen pals. But he's, Don Diego de la Vega, aka Zorro, is communicating with a new padre, a new priest who's coming into the pueblo to run the mission. And he's very, through their letters, he really connects to the padre, and they talk about birds. They talk about birds, the different breeds of birds. And it's so cute. The episode opens with Don Diego building a birdhouse, and Felipe's helping him, and he's like talking about the different type of birds and how he's been writing to his pen pal about birds. And what happens is the padre, quote unquote, arrives in the pueblo, and he's really mean. The person who arrives says that he's the priest, but he's being cruel to people. He's charging for things. And it turns out that the real padre, the real priest, was kidnapped, and this imposter comes into town to try to impersonate him. And what happens is there's a ransom note that's left, and of course this is where Zorro comes into play. But a ransom note is left, and it says, pay this amount or you'll never see the padre again. And in the padre's handwriting, which Don Diego knows because he's written to him, says, please pay the ransom or I'll never see the starlings again. And what it is it's the padre giving a clue as to where he's being held, because the starlings only stay in one place. And by the end of the episode, of course, Zorro saves the day, and the real padre, the kind-hearted, generous padre, the non-imposter, finally gets to the mission and is there to do his good work. And what blew my mind was at the end of the episode, as it's wrapping up, Don Diego's walking with the padre, and he's like, how did you know that you'd get rescued? Or how did you know, that clue about the starling? And he said, well, the padre looks at Don Diego and goes, the birds gave me hope. And even though I felt like it was the darkest night, I knew that the birds sing in the morning. Even when they don't know that the sun is going to rise, the birds, they sing. And that gave me chills. And I felt like it connected to the card that I kept getting, the birds don't know that the sun is going to rise, but yet they still sing at the dawn. And it's interesting, if you go to my Instagram channel, not too long ago, I had another night where I was pulling a lot of cards that talked about new beginning or a new dawn or a dawn is coming. So I wonder what that means, but I just thought that was so inspirational and I just had to share it. So sorry for the long introduction, but that was amazing. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my card here in the corner. You probably can't see it, but it's over here. It's overlooking our reading to give us good juju. So, but let's go ahead and get started. I have 3 decks here. I did go ahead and keep the Jane Austen Tarot, and we're going to clarify with the Jane Austen Oracle, because I was just so excited from, if you get a chance to check out the special Jane Austen read, it is a love reading. The beginning of the video is the overview of the Jane decks, but the first deck we have here is the Jane Austen Tarot that I went over in that video, and with it we have a raw opal. And this is really great. In that video, I talked about opals too. The lighting is really not doing it justice because it just glimmers, it glows. And then the second deck that we have is the White Sage Tarot by Theresa Hutch. And with it, we have a natural double pearl. And the third deck, we have the Starseeker Tarot. And with it, we have the very first stone I ever bought. It's many moons old, and it is a amethyst spear. And we are going to be clarifying what it's called Jane Austen Tarot, but really it's an oracle deck by Jacqui Oakley. And on top of it, we have a beautiful fire agate. Sorry, guys, I'm drawing a blank. All right, but please choose from your intuition. If you need more time, please pause the video, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're back. Let's go ahead and move these other decks up. Make sure my microphone is on. I'm paranoid now. Anytime I'm like, you know, fully charged camera, fully charged microphone, I don't mess around anymore. All right. Okay, so deck number 1, the Jane Austen Tarot. I'm just going to give it a quick shuffle. It got some use in the. Again, if you get a chance, check out the Jane Austen's birthday was December 16th, and we did a special video here on the channel. So if you want to check it out, it's here in the playlist, and it's probably the last video before this one. All right. So beginning of our week. So deck number 1. What's our week going to be like? And this week does include the holidays, so we're excited about that. If you know, whatever holiday you celebrate, I'm really excited. You know, if you celebrate Yule, if you celebrate, you know, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, middle of the week, please. Okay, end of the week, please. And this would include. Ooh. Wow, that's interesting, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and get your oracle card. Oh, now that I am almost positive. Okay, last time I thought that was in the Jane Austen reading I thought it was Lydia. It turned out to be Lydia Bennet, but I thought it was Margaret Dashwood, and I think this is Margaret Dashwood, which just warms my heart because I love Maggie. She's such a spirited character. Yep. Awesome. Coolness. Okay, you guys got a great week. All right, so to go ahead and get started, the beginning of your week is really quite cool. The beginning of the week, you got the Lady of Quills. Hello, Queen of Swords. And what this is yeah, this is Anne Elliot. No, I'm sorry, she's Pentacles. Yeah, okay, let me double check here. Hold on a second, guys. I'm just going to double check. The artwork is beautiful. It's just sometimes I do get a little bit thrown. I do have to just double check it, you know, make sure I'm talking about the right lady. Yep, Anne Elliot. That's what I thought. Okay, just to be on the safe side, sorry. But, wow. Okay, so beginning of the week is really quite interesting. Anne Elliot is a very organized character. I think at the beginning of the week, I get the strong sense that I really get the sense that you're just taking care of business. I think you're going to be on top of everything, but it's almost like you're on top of everything in a real social media kind of way. Like maybe you have to communicate via text message. Maybe the other thing that I kind of get is maybe you just kind of have some mental checklists. The other thing that I see here is I almost get a sense like, you know, it's that last week before the holiday where you really just want to, dot all your I's, cross all your T's, but you're not doing it in a real, I'm not getting a Virgo energy from this. I'm definitely getting more of, I'm getting more of a laid back energy. Like I'm getting a go with the flow energy is what I'm feeling. I do think that you might have a lot of emails that you have to respond to. The other thing is that Anne Elliot kind of has, it's kind of cute. In her story, she has a little bit of a high maintenance family. And the other thing that's cute about her family is it's not that they're bad people. It's just all of them have their own kind of temperament about things. And she's like the glue of their family. Like she knows how to handle every single person. And she knows how to keep everything on track, right? So what I'm kind of getting is, the other thing that I kind of get is here in this image, you see her reading a book. So what I'm kind of getting is that I have a feeling that you have everything in hand. Like if you are working or if you're preparing for the holiday, everything's on track. I don't think that there's nothing, excuse me, I'm gonna cough. I don't think there's anything that that you have to worry about. It's almost like, you know, if you have scheduled deliveries, they're on time, or, you know, all of your presents have arrived and are wrapped and under the tree, ready to go. And I almost get a sense that, I also get the sense that you have some, it's almost like you have some free time, either that or you're making some free time, maybe to enjoy a book. The other way I kind of get this is that you kind of, I think at the beginning of the week, there's going to be some kind of activity that's really fueling your mind. Um, like I said in the intro, you know, when I got my card, I started rewatching a TV show that I watched when I was in my early teens, and I really got engrossed back into it. So one other thing is that I kind of get the feeling that maybe you're getting sucked into some kind of either new show, or maybe you're revisiting a show that you really enjoy, but it's feeding your mind. That's what I'm hearing. It's feeding your mind. So maybe the beginning of the week feels really good because you just, you're really enjoying, the other thing is that the Lady of Coils is a real independent energy. Like, she doesn't really, she what I'm kind of getting is it's almost like all of your duties, all of your chores are kind of done. And I think that you've definitely handled everybody. It's like you've handled everything with a lot of grace. And since everything's on track, you're going to actually take some time to unplug, or but I am getting a strong sense. Have you ever come across that new streaming show that you really get sucked into, or maybe all of a sudden you came across some kind of subject that you wanted to learn more about? And it's interesting, if you watch the Jane Austen reading, I went off on a total tangent about opals and, you know, the engagement ring history. I learned that because I went out, you know, a long time ago, I was fascinated by, you know, the history of, you know, different types of stones. And it really was me kind of studying the meanings of the different stones. And I did go off on a tangent where I talked about, you know, diamonds were never the only engagement ring. You know, pearls can be an engagement ring, opals can be an engagement ring, rubies can be an engagement ring, emeralds for sure. You know, but I almost get this sense, like, I'm getting a strong sense in the beginning of the week there's going to be some kind of subject that you get kind of jonesed about, and you're actually going to get kind of engrossed in it. But it's almost I'm getting a feeling like you saying, okay, well, everything else is on track. You know, I checked, all of the presents are wrapped under the tree, all the bills are paid, you know, I put out the trash. I'm going to sit and do my own thing for a little while. But I do also think this is very therapeutic energy, because I think it's good. It's always an exciting thing when you learn about something new that you get excited about, that you just want to learn everything about. Either that, or I do get the sense that this might be a story, or some kind of history, that you either read about in a book or that you are watching on like a show. And I am getting kind of like a binge watching of a show. But I think I'm getting a strong sense that it's letting you check out. It's letting you check. It's not only teaching you something that's interesting, but I think it also lets you check out mentally, which is very, very cool. Now, middle of the week is some interesting energy, guys. I always look when several cards come out like this. I always look at it like a root, a stem, and a bloom. Now, the bloom is the outward expression. Like the very top card is what's actually happening in the real world. The root is the root energy. The stem is how it started to grow, or how it started to get expressed. And then the very top card is, you know, what the world is seeing, how you're, the actual energy of the emotion. And what we've got here is we've got the Eight of Cups, the Eight of Teacups, and then we've got the Maiden of Candlesticks. And then we've got the Lady of Teacups. And oh my gosh, guys, can I just tell you again with Jane, these stories, this energy, the stories behind each of these images, again, it gives me this whole... the Eight of Cups is, this is Fanny Price in Mansfield Park. And what she's doing is she's leaving to go back to her home. She's leaving to go back to her home because what it is she grew up at her cousin's house, but really her parents didn't have a lot of money, so she's unhappy leaving the house that she grew up in to go. It's almost like she's going back to the living situation before. If you've ever had, I almost look at this energy like, you know how when you go off to college and it's so scary at first, but then you get there and you get comfortable and you take all your classes and you get used to all the restaurants that are there, you get used to being independent, and then all of a sudden, you have to go back home again, and you're so used to the place that you were. It's almost, it feels like a little bit of a demotion. It feels, again, you're going away from something that you invested so much energy into. And then, so that's kind of the energy here. It is very much an Eight of Cups, energy. And then the stem of the situation is the Maiden of Candlesticks, and this is Lydia Bennett, and she's getting ready. She's getting ready to go to a party, right? And she's all excited because she wants to meet all the officers, right? And she is. This is a Page of Wands energy. And then the Lady of Teacups, which is what the world is seeing. This is the outward energy. This is Jane Bennett. And Jane Bennett, what it is she's in love with Charles Bingley. But Charles Bingley is pressured by his family and by Mr. Darcy to leave Jane, even though he loves her too, right? And what I love about Jane Bennett is that she's beautiful. She's good-natured. She's the eldest Bennett sister. Like she's the older sister of Elizabeth, right? A lot of times we forget that. In Pride and Prejudice, there was an older child to Elizabeth. She was not the head child here. But what I kind of get, and in Pride and Prejudice, Jane really hid her sorrows a whole lot. She loves somebody. One of the most poignant lines in Pride and Prejudice is, like when Elizabeth is really, everyone thinks that Jane Bennett has no feelings. Like she's keeping such a cool exterior that basically Charles Bingley's friends were able to convince him that Jane did not like him because she kept such kept a cool exterior. And this really is kind of playing into the Queen of Quills, the Lady of Quills, the Queen of Swords a little bit. I think in the beginning of the week, you're keeping independent. I think you know how to handle people, and I think you're not afraid to be on your own, right? But I do think that there's someone that that you feel a connection to, but you don't. It's almost like, and again, us coming up on the holidays, I'm not trying to, whatever religion you practice, this is a completely neutral channel, whatever you believe in. And same thing goes with spiritually, if you believe in angels, if you believe in ancestors, if you believe in spirit guides and animal guides, whatever you believe in, all is welcome here. But what I kind of see here is that maybe you've had to remain really independent. I do get the sense that there's a person here that you're feeling kind of apart from, but you're to protect yourself. You're keeping a good emotional front up, because the other thing is the Lady of Teacups is the Queen of Cups, and in the writer Wade Smith, you see her holding a cup that has a lid on it, right? Just like the king, she knows how to control her emotions. Just because somebody isn't reciprocating feelings, she's not going to break down and cry in public, right? She's going to keep her composure, right? But what I'm kind of seeing here is that I do see that there's going to be the beginning of the week. It's almost like you're handling your business, and by the middle of the week, you're going to get around someone that you really care about, but it's almost like you're not talking, or they're not really, it's like they're moving, this person's moving away from you. And because they're not really, the other thing I kind of get is because they're not reciprocating the way that you want them to. Maybe someone's not talking to you. Maybe it's coming up on the holidays, and you're expecting this person to reach out and they're not. Instead of showing your emotions, you're gonna just let them go, right? The other thing that I kind of get is that, the Eight of Cups, it is that kind of bittersweet. You've gotten, what I'm feeling here is you've gotten used to a certain exchange with this person. And the other thing as I get is I'm hearing pattern. Maybe there's some kind of, the other thing is with it being a holiday week, maybe you have some kind of tradition that you do with this person, and they're being kind of distant, or so the only choice that you have, because you're gonna do right by yourself. What I get here is that underneath the surface, like on the surface, you're showing a really calm composure. But beneath the surface, you feel sad. You feel like you're walking away from something that's very familiar, right? Again, there's two women crying in these cards. There's Fanny Price leaving Mansfield Park, and she's crying, and she's holding a book. Beginning of the week, and then Jane Bennett is crying as she's watching Mr. Bingley walk away. And the funny thing is, he's not even galloping away. He's like not even trotting. He's like, his horse is going really slow. She could, put down her teacup and run after him, but she's not going to, right? So what I kind of get here is, I kind of read this one of two ways. It's possible that maybe someone showed you some kind of impulsive act, because the Page of Wands is a little bit impulsive. It's quite possible that maybe you're walking away because maybe you had your eye on someone, and this person is like, oh, I'm going to a Christmas party, I'm going to get dressed up, I'm going to talk to other girls, I'm going to talk to other guys, and you're just like watching them like, okay, you usually spend Christmas with me. Why are you gonna, but you're not gonna say anything. You're gonna keep your emotions in control. The other thing that I kind of get from this is that it's quite possible, you know what I'm hearing, guys, and I listened to this the other night. Oh my gosh. If you've ever heard Mariah Carey's, and no, I'm not going to say All I Want for Christmas Is You. We are played out of that song. I can't listen to it again. Mariah Carey's I Miss You Most at Christmas Time. I listened to that song, and oh my gosh, the feels. The feels punches you right in the feels. That's what I'm getting. Middle of the week, Mariah Carey's I Miss You Most at Christmas Time. And what's beautiful is in that song it says, there's this whole chorus that says, in the springtime, the blooms begin to, blossom, and then, by the summertime, everything's so bright and sunny. And then she goes, and then by the fall times, when the leaves begin to fall, I am fine without you until the snow begins to fall. And it's almost like you can be fine without this person, but there's something about, yes, and definitely, what I'm seeing when I see this bright red dress? Oh my gosh, guys, you know what I'm getting? Synchronicity alert. Have you ever seen, I know I'm referencing a lot of stuff here, that bright red, that beautiful red velvet dress that Judy Garland wears in Meet Me in St. Louis. And gosh, what another Christmas song when she sings, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Because she's crying while she's singing that song too, because her family's moving away. You know what it is, guys, is that in the middle of the week, as you're coming up on the holiday, and again, you don't have to celebrate Christmas. I'm not telling you that. But I get the feeling like, because in Meet Me in St. Louis, Judy Garland, she was supposed to go to the Christmas party with her beau, and he couldn't make it. He couldn't make it because he didn't get his suit in enough time. And then she ended up, she was trying to play a prank on a girl nemesis. What it is at the turn of the century, you had dance cards where you would write down the name of the people you would dance with. And what she did is she made out a dance card with all of the worst dancers, like all the guys who step on your feet, you know, who will drag you around the dance floor ungracefully. And she was trying to give that dance card to this girl that she wanted to kind of, you know, put the hit on. And what happened was, you know, she kind of got called on it, and she ends up looking at the dance card and going, "Oh no, that's my dance card. How did you get that? I'll take that." So Judy Garland ended up having to dance with all, so it was like a double whammy. She got all dressed up to go to this dance with her beau, and then he couldn't go, and then she ended up, you know, taking the hit, you know, and dancing with all the guys who can't dance. I won't spoil it for you. Watch the scene. It ends well. But what I'm seeing here is that, yeah, I think this is holiday related. I'm seeing that dress. I'm hearing those two songs. And I think what was happening is that you were purposely kind of moving away from someone that you really felt connected to. I think there was some kind of tradition, either that or you were really hoping that you would see this person or spend time with this person. It's almost like you were getting all dolled up to, and that they're either not able to make it, or I am getting a strong sense that maybe their family is discouraging them, or something about your behavior is making them think that you're not approachable. But it's not that. It's just that you're being careful, right? This person is not being real reciprocal. But I do get, the other thing that I'm kind of getting from this is that I do get a sense that you're kind of camouflaging your feelings. You're wearing the beautiful dress, you're getting, you know, gussied up for the holiday, but you do feel like you're moving away from someone, and you feel like someone. The other thing about Jane Bennett is that Charles Bingley was in London, and she sent him letters, and he never responded. We later learned that Mr. Darcy intercepted those letters, but, you know, to her, she still thinks that this person's not interested. Now, by the end of the week, oh wow, guys, this is some pretty interesting energy. You've got the Eight of Quills, and then you've got crowned by the Ten of Coins. Now, there is definitely, I'm seeing a theme here, guys. One thing that might be happening, and especially as this goes over the weekend, which would be, if you celebrate Christmas, this would be Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. The Eight of Quills is also Mansfield Park, and this is Edmund Bertram, and he's admiring the musicianship of this woman that it's like him courting a little bit. But the Eight of Quills is feeling like mentally stuck, right? Feeling mentally stuck. Now, this could be either you or your person. I am kind of getting a sense that it might be your person. This person that you wanted to spend time with, they might be kind of stuck with their family. But the other thing that I kind of get is that you might, the Ten of Coins moment is very strong family connection. The other thing that I kind of get with this is that because these are two eights, and you see her, it's almost like she's being put in a carriage to go away from the place that she feels is home, right? And it's the same thing with the Eight of Quills. You see, these two people are not a good match for one another, but in Austen's story, they were really pushed together. Like it was almost like a forced match, right? So what I'm kind of seeing here is that you could quite possibly, you might not be hearing from someone that you want to be hearing from. It might be kind of disappointing you, but you're trying to put on a brave face, maybe in front of your family and everyone else. The other thing is that the two ways that I kind of read it is that either one, the first way I read it is you might get some word that the reason that this person isn't really reaching out is because they have kind of family obligations. It's almost, and this could involve another love interest, not to be blunt, but just know that this person, if this does involve another person, just hang tight in your energy, stay strong in you, because this other person's not a good match. The other thing that I get is that it's possible that this the person that's the person that you want to be with might have some family obligations at this time of year where they're just kind of tied up, right? The other thing you see is this person's kind of standing diligently, like they need to be a good audience, right? They can't walk away. And the Ten of Pentacles definitely talks about family. The other thing that I kind of get is that maybe you are going to be spending time with family, and again, this is going to be kind of moving away from, you have somebody on your mind. And but what I'm getting is this is not a bad energy. This is really quite beautiful. Actually, I kind of get the sense that your family's really going to make you smile over the weekend. Again, maybe you have some, I do feel like you're going to feel a little stuck in your head. You're going to be, what it is that you're trying not to think about all this. But I do think that you're going to have a warm time with your family. It's almost like their joy is going to be your joy, even though you're feeling a little bit stuck. And your oracle card, again, you got Margaret Dashwood. And I love Margaret because you know what I love? My favorite part about Maggie Dashwood is that she's got, and it even says it says energy. So the youngest Dashwood sister in sensibility, Margaret is good-humored and full of energy and youth. But what I love about her is that she always speaks her mind, and this is the Jack of Clubs, which is like the Knight of Wands, and that's a very fire energy, and they're very blunt. And Maggie is very blunt. She's so cute. She speaks her mind. Like, I remember when her sister was interested in Edward, and she's like, when is Edward coming? When are you going to get married? And then she's like, Margaret? And she's like, no, I'm serious. The other thing is, like, when Marianne wants to go walking in the rain, and Margaret's like, I don't like this idea at all. It's not a good idea. It's going to rain. It's like she knows she always speaks the truth. So I think what it's doing is I think as advice, it's kind of encouraging you to do that. I think this year, I think you're feeling a little bit disconnected from someone that you really want to be with. There's been a little bit of disappointment. And again, I'm hearing I miss you most at Christmas time. But that doesn't mean that you can't liven up a little bit. The other thing I get is that maybe you have a member of your family that really is like a Margaret who really gets you to lighten up. But I almost get a sense like this is your energy. I think you've been so... the other thing about the Eight of Quills is it's your own mind that's keeping you back, right? It's nothing else. If you want to... you might be moving away from a previous situation, and it might be the right thing to do too, because the other thing is when it came to Jane Bennet, Charles Bingley was very easily persuaded to not approach her, and that was on him, to let other people influence his decisions without talking to her or without connecting to her, so she kept her honor by not, don't engage with someone who's not engaging with you, right? When they put forth effort, you put forth effort. But over the holiday, you could potentially, have a really, I'm getting a strong family moment. It's almost like for all that's going on in your love life, your family is going to really distract you and keep you happy. And the other thing that I'm getting here is, as the advice card, it's telling you to be like Margaret, call a spade a spade. If you, if you don't like something, be like, well, I don't want to go for a walk. It looks like rain, you do you, right? And I think it's also saying that you are a good person. All of these are queens, right? You are such a beautiful woman. If someone is not returning your phone calls or reaching out to you, it is their loss, let me promise you. So it's almost like, have some fun. This could be a blessing. Just go ahead and be free. Don't, I think it's also saying don't let the constraints of any type, don't let anything make you feel like you're obligated. You're not obligated to stay in the a gloomy energy over a holiday, But But it is going to be a beautiful week. And honestly, the Ten of Coins is a gorgeous energy. I really get a sense that it's family related. I think you're going to have a good time with family. It's going to be a really fun holiday. The other thing is that if you get a chance to wear a pretty dress, go for it. Because I'll tell you, even with the Queen of Swords energy, we talked about that in the King of Swords reading. Wearing a pretty dress, oh my gosh, that makes you feel like $1,000,000, right? And get your glow on, go ahead, glow up. All right, so deck number 2, we got the beautiful double pearl. We've got a lot of natural stones in this reading. I love it. So deck number 2, what's your energy for the week? Ooh, you saw that, right? That flipped middle of the deck. Ooh, okay. Oh my gosh, Knight of Wands is becoming like a Page of Pentacles. Ooh, interesting. Okay, end of the week. Oh my gosh, guys. There are 78 cards in each of these decks. What are the statistical chances that we would get the equivalent of the Knight of, Jack of Clubs, which is the Knight of Wands, and the Eight of Cups, which came out? I always feel like I do get a lot of cross watchers between deck number 1 and 2. Is that like your favorite number? I know, believe me, I know. I usually pick deck 2. So let's go ahead and see. What's our deck number 2? Okay, we got a flipper. 10 of Diamonds, which is the 10 of, oh my gosh, synchronicity alert. Holy Toledo. Wow. All right, guys. Oh, my deck 2 people. Gosh, guys. Oh, lovies. Why do we all feel so stuck? It's holiday. It's the holiday season. Why is it because we're stuck inside? All right. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I just feel you. I totally feel you. All right. So, beginning of the week, you got one major arcana, and you got the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man. And I do love this image. I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. Going away. Oh, pardon me. Oh, excuse me. Ow, that hurt. But the Hanged Man, when you look at it, it's the caterpillar, right? And I know, and it's number 12, which when you think about it, you have 12 months in a year, 12 days of Christmas. But the caterpillar, I always say when a caterpillar makes that J shape, what that is that's the beginning of the chrysalis, right? What the caterpillar does, the caterpillar is the one insect that has 2 lives in the same life cycle, right? What it does is the moment you see a caterpillar go into that J shape, what they do is they freeze, right? They're immobilized. And what they start doing is they start using every ounce of their energy and every cell in their body. They break down every single cell in their body, even their little brain, and it becomes butterfly soup, right? And it all starts with that J shape. And that's what I'm feeling, guys. And again, this is a major arcana. It doesn't mean anything major is happening in the beginning of your week. It means that you are in the midst of a major life cycle. And you're going to be feeling that energy more prevalently in the beginning of the week. But what I see here is the moment you see the J shape, you are in suspension because you are about to metamorphosize, right? And what you're doing is, the reason that you see the Hanged Man in this, and this is, I love this image for the Hanged Man, because when you think about it, if you've ever been through a major life event, maybe you've graduated college and you start off on your first career. And what you do is you sell everything you own in order to, move to the next city where you're going to start your career. Or if you've ever gone through a divorce and you sell the house, you sell your car, and then you end up in a new place. You're clearing out, you're letting go of anything that is not serving you, and you're turning that energy or turning those resources into something that will be of service to you, right? The other thing that you get is that it's a time of suspension, right? You're about to go into a new life cycle. The other thing I get from it is it looks from the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. But on the inside, everything is happening. Everything is happening. So what's happening here is that you, at the beginning of the week, you are really preparing for your next life cycle, right? It's almost like you see the path ahead and you're ready to begin, right? You're ready to begin. Maybe you're meditating a lot. Maybe there's something going on in your life where the other thing is that, I mean, we're coming up on, the last days of 2020, we're about to go into 2021. We really, things are going to be way different moving forward. Maybe you have a lot of plans right now and you're mapping it out, right? You're looking to see what's going to happen. Now, but this is very strong energy. I know with majors, it is, again, I always say it's not like, some kind of catastrophic event is going to come and hit you in the middle of the head, in the beginning of the week. But I do get the sense, the other thing is that there's a theme throughout this whole chart of non-action. There's a theme here of non-action. Now, so beginning of the week, the other thing that I kind of get is I'm getting, what I'm hearing? I'm hearing a strong sense of there's nothing I can do about it right now. I do almost get the sense, because the other theme, the other keyword with the Hangman is surrender. Maybe there's something going on right now that you're reserving your energy. You're reserving your energy. The other thing that you're doing is you're consolidating your resources in order to be prepared when you can take action. So maybe you're preparing for something in the new year. Maybe you see something coming, but right now is your time to rest. The other thing that I kind of get is that I do get this sense as like a preparation. It's almost like you know what you want to do. It's just now is not the time to take action. You have to wait a little bit longer. You have more things that you need to get in place. But at the beginning of the week, you're really thinking about it. You're focusing on it. The other thing that I kind of get is that this break or this suspension is not bad. It's a needed kind of reprieve. Like you really shouldn't be taking any action right now, because right now is your time to kind of get your elements in a row, get everything prepared for when that change comes. Now, the middle of the week, we've got the Knight of Wands and you've got the Page of Pentacles. So, first off, I will say this. If you are a mom, this could be that you have an older fire child, like maybe a teenager or early 20s person who's a fire sign or has a lot of fire in their chart, or who just acts that way. And then you've got the Page of Pentacles, which is almost like a younger earth sign kind of child. Maybe you have a teenager and then one who's like under 10. But what I'm kind of getting, and not in a bad way, but this is the middle of the week, and they talk about the hump day, getting over the hump. It really is, it's a stretch. Getting through the middle of the week is not easy. But we've got, you see the Four of Cups, and this is a really beautiful analogy. First off, all of the colors in it relate to chakra. So this is the sacral chakra. It's right around, and this is around the abdomen too. So that's where I do kind of think of motherhood. I think that this might be your offspring. But you see 3 cups that are pouring into 1 cup, but it looks like the cup is empty still, right? It's you've got 3 cups pouring into 1 and it's not filling up. It's just, it seems like it's like got like a hollow bottom to it or something. Like it's just pouring right through. It's not filling up. So I kind of read that one of 2 ways, and this is nothing personal. I don't mean to trigger anyone. One way that I kind of read it, and especially with this Hangman energy, I feel like you might be going through some major change. If this is some kind of separation or divorce, you might be preparing for kind of like a new life on your own. But again, this week being the holiday, that's the other thing, is that how you think, oh, okay, I have all these big changes coming, but this weekend is Christmas. you know, let's get through Christmas. I keep hearing that, let's get through Christmas. The one way that I kind of read this is that maybe you're feeling a little bit drained because, you know, you've got some major changes coming, but then you still have to be there for, you know, a Knight of Wands and a Page of Pentacles. This could be two children. The other thing that I kind of get is that maybe you are feeling a little bit blue, like maybe your kids are really getting excited about the holiday and they're coming up to you and being like, Mom, we should do this, we should do that, but you're feeling kind of meh, you know, and that happens. You know, the Four of Cups is really feeling that kind of lethargic, you know, everybody around you can be in a real happy mood, but you're not feeling it because your mind is in other places, or you're just exhausted or tired. The last way that I kind of read this is that it's quite possible that maybe people around you are giving you a small gift, right? It could be a small gift that was given to you, but you're not, it's not that you don't appreciate it, but you're not excited about it. One other way that I kind of read this, and just to throw it out there, is that maybe you give like a small gift to a Knight of Wands kind of character, and when you look at it, you look at this guy, he's kind of given the side eye, right? It's almost like he's got more exciting things to do, right? So just to throw it out there, and I don't want this to be triggering, I just kind of have to read it as I see it. It's possible that maybe in the middle of the week, and again, right, you know, that would be the time leading up to the holidays, so that might be like the last opportunity that you get a chance to see someone. You might give a gift to somebody, but it's almost like they're a little flippant with it. Like you hand it to them and they're like, gee, thanks. And they're not even really like appreciating the fact that you gave them something. And, again, you know, the Knight of Wands energy is kind of an in and out energy. This person's always looking for the next most exciting thing. Now, one other thing is that this could be your energy. So you could either be giving a gift to someone and they're like, gee, thanks, and, you know, throwing it, you know, in their back pocket, you know. You know what I always think of, you know, when you see that scene in A Christmas Story when they're given socks and both kids are like, gee, thanks, and they kind of throw it over their shoulder like, yeah, throw that on the pile. They're not really appreciating it. So it can either be you giving a gift to someone else, but actually I almost feel like it's your energy. Isn't that crazy? I do. I think that you almost kind of want to be left alone. You really are in a state of suspension, but in the middle of the week, I think maybe someone might approach you and look at this. And I think it's a very steady energy. Someone gives you this little gift. It doesn't necessarily have to be money, but this, and you just look at the difference in expressions here. You see this sweet little elephant, and the other thing is they look so happy, right? They look so joyous. And the hawk is, you know, the Knight of Wands is just kind of like, okay, yeah, all right, that's cool, whatever, you know. And this isn't to knock you. I mean, again, sometimes we get into that energy, you know. Sometimes if you're feeling a little stressed out with work, or maybe you're stressed out a little bit at home, sometimes when you're a little distracted. The other thing is the Knight of Wands is an action character, so, you know, it's quite possible that I do kind of refer to those moods as when you know, you've got a lot going on, and it makes you a little hardened. It makes you a little rough. The other thing about fire energy, and I've talked about this before, is that, you know, if you're sometimes, you know, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, they can be a little rough shop. You know, they can run a little rough shot over people, and it's not that they mean to. It's just that, you know, again, they're you know, the other thing is being a knight, you might be in the thick of some kind of action. So, excuse me, hiccup. You might have someone kind of coming up to you sincerely, because the other thing is this little elephant has a little flower in its trunk. You know, it's almost like someone's coming up to you very sincerely and very genuinely offering you something, and you just don't have, you know, I'm hearing ain't nobody got time for that, you know. But it's such a sincere little gift. But I do think that maybe you're just feeling a little hollow. Maybe you're feeling a little tired. It could be the timing too. Maybe someone's just approaching you at a bad time where you just feel a little short-tempered, that you're not really, you know, that you don't really appreciate it. But I do just think that might be your energy. The other thing is that if you do have to work, you know, the days going up to the holiday, middle of the week is always a little stressful anyway. Now, by the end of the week, you got the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups, and again, that's the second time this has come up, guys, is that it's amazing that we have so much distant energy here, guys. But the Eight of Cups is about walking away from something that doesn't really serve you. So if this is you, like if you are offering, the other thing is that, you know, Pentacles doesn't necessarily have to be a physical gift. In this spread, I am kind of feeling that. That's the vibe that I'm getting. But it could potentially be just something of value, something that you value. If you are offering that to someone and they're doing the Four of Cups thing with you, like they're not paying attention, or you're not their priority, or you doing something nice for them and they don't even notice, they're just paying attention to something else. If they're being kind of blunt with you, I think by the end of the week, you're going to sense like, okay, I'm not being appreciated, right? Not being appreciated. And I think, you know, again, you know, you see the cup falling, right? You see the cup falling. I do think that the other thing is that the ribbon in this card is the root chakra, which talks about base needs, right? And you've seen the triangle from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I watched a great psychological article that talked about how sometimes we keep ourselves in a pattern where, you know, if you keep yourself in a base needs pattern where it's like, okay, all I need is to make money to get food and a roof over my head. You never, if everything is about the bare minimum, you'll never you'll never rise or excel to the point where you feel like you deserve better than that, right? The other thing that I kind of get here is that so you don't want to be stuck in a survival mode, right? Because then you'll never get, if you stay in survive where it's just make enough money to get roof and food, I get the sense that I really do get the sense that you feel like you're starting to see that if you're not getting more than just bare minimum, you're not going to stay and stick around for that, right? And I think that's half of the Hanged Man energy. Honestly, guys, this might be one of those situations where after the holidays, you might be kind of going your own way a little bit. And I'm sorry to say it that way, but that's not bad. The hangman is such a spiritual energy. It really is metamorphosis. But, you know, but what I'm kind of getting is that I do feel like you might be walking away from something that you kind of invested in, but it's mostly because you just don't feel like you're being appreciated. Either that, or possibly by the end of the week, you might just need to step away a little bit because you are feeling a little bit like that empty cup, right? And if it does involve kids, I think it isn't that you're trying to be distant. It's just that you really do need to check out a little bit. So what it might be is that, you know, over the weekend, you might need to relax a little bit, right? You might need to relax a little bit, because that's the other thing about the holidays is that they do get stressful. And, you know, and you are, you know, this could be related to family too. You know, sometimes when you have to deal or interact with family more at the holiday season, it can be making you a little bit snappy. The other thing is this could potentially be some energy with family members as well. But The oracle card you got is you got the Ten of Diamonds, and it says accomplishment. The fruit of labor in the family garden is a beautiful bouquet. Sit back and enjoy. So I do think, I first off think that you will have a nice warm weekend. If you celebrate, you know, the holidays or whatever holiday you celebrate, I think it's going to be a warm weekend. Now, I do think that, I think that I think that you are, if there's anyone that's not making you feel good enough, whether that be in your family or in relationships, you are going to separate yourself from that person. And that can be as simple as just, okay, they're sitting on that side of the room, I'm staying on my side of the room, and never the twain shall meet, right? So, but that's, you know, the Eight of Cups is not a bad energy, and it doesn't mean that you're walking away forever. It just means that, again, you know, something that you might have kind of invested more in might not be giving you the same in return, and you're not going to let that continue. You're going to, you know, you're going to walk away for your own good. But yeah, I am almost getting a sense like there might be like some kind of offer of a gift, and one person might not be very receptive. They might be a little bit, the other thing I'm getting is they might be a little arrogant about it. Like, okay, you know, like taking the gift, okay, you know, or either that, or maybe they didn't even think to get you a gift back. And, you know, your gift is so sincere and from the heart and something really, you know, something very valuable, right? And this person is just like, okay, yep, that's mine. The other thing is that he does look a little bit like a warrior. The other thing I'm getting is that, you know, with it being a bird, it's almost like he takes it and flies away with it. But I do see, the other thing that I get is that your advice card is, it talks about the family garden, right? So maybe just like pile one, maybe, you know, over the weekend, you know, find some joy. If this is in your love life, maybe, you know, take a break, maybe walk away from this situation and spend some time with your family, or do something that really makes you feel good. But I do feel like, you know, what it also means is that sometimes the Eight of Cups means walking away from a situation that you know, it can be someone outside your your sphere. Like, if maybe if you were talking to someone and they proved themselves to be not so nice person, you always have your friends and your family to fall back on, right? So the Eight of Cups and the Ten of Pentacles, Ten of Diamonds here is almost telling me, you know, don't let this bring you down. You know, they always say the way someone treats you is their karma, the way you react is yours. The other thing that I can kind of get is that maybe if, you know, by the middle of the week, the other thing is being this close to the holiday, we might have some kids that are off from school and they might be driving you a little batty. Either that or you just feel a little bit numb. So the other way I kind of read this, by the end of the week, before the holiday, let's let mom have a break. You know, maybe she needs to walk away from all of... The other thing is that sometimes you give and give and give to others and you don't fill your own cup, right? But here I am almost getting like... I do get a sense that it might be kind of just a feeling within yourself. But if there are children involved, you know, it just might be, the other thing that I'm kind of getting is maybe you feel like you're not giving enough. But what you really need is you need a break. And after the break, you can, you know, you can come back on the day and enjoy the day with like a revived, you know, kind of feeling. But wow, guys, that's a good week. That is a good week. And definitely, you know, please take care of yourself. I know this time of year, the other thing is after the holiday is over, you know, that's always a whole stretch. You know, my mom and I talk about that all the time. You know, the winter blues after all the lights are taken down. You know, it's like that's a whole nother, you know, time. All right, so deck number 3, we've got the Star Seeker Tarot. So what's your energies for the next week? So beginning of the week, please. Beginning of the week. Okay. Okay. Middle of the week, please. Okay. End of the week. Oh my gosh, and that the Hanged Man is trying to come out again. And the Four of Cups. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take all three of those. So let's get your oracle. So what's our advice? What's our advice for the week? The Hermit. Oh my gosh. This is amazing, guys. This is some really interesting energy. Okay. Wow. This is interesting. Now, beginning of the week, we've got 2 2s. And wow, guys, this is really amazing. Now, beginning of the week, you got the 2 of Swords. And this is really beautiful. This is the classic head over heart. The other thing is we have a lot of moon energy here. We have a lot of moon energy. Right off the cuff, I'm kind of getting a feeling like either, and I feel like this is kind of carrying over from the last week. I really get a sense that maybe you're not sleeping. Or you're staying up at night kind of worrying, kind of running things through your head. The other thing that I get is, what's interesting about this is that the 2 of Pentacles, these are pentacles, but they're glowing like they're moons, you know? And then there's a moon in the 2 of Swords. So the beginning of the week, you're going to feel really torn. I do get the feeling there's swords, there's pentacles, and there's cups. Wow, guys, I get the strong sense that you are staying away from someone, or there's someone that you really want to reach out to, but it's like you can't. And it's beginning of the week, you're going to feel really, really torn. Really, really torn. It's almost like it's going to be pretty consistent throughout the whole week. But beginning of the week, it's like the other thing that I'm kind of getting is beginning of the week, you really are going to keep your emotions under wrap. Like, it's almost like under the surface, you're really churning. That's the other thing I'm getting, is that we got water in all the background of all of these cups, and all of these waves are churning. You have got some kind of emotions are stirring, and they've been stirring for a while. The other thing we got is we got a full moon here. Beginning of the week, I don't know if maybe... I get the sense like you're going to be in a situation where it's not like you're tempted, but what it is it's almost like maybe there's someone that you wanted to talk to, and then on Monday or at the beginning of the week they start coming around, so it's not like you can run and hide. Either that, or you have some kind of opportunity to talk to this person, or I am getting an emotional thing. I do feel like this might be relationship related. And it's almost like you really, really want to talk to them, but it's like a stalemate, right? It's like, no, I can't talk to you. I really want to talk to you. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to push those emotions down, because this is real head over heart, and it's very much a stalemate. So I think the beginning of the week, maybe I get the sense like you're forcing yourself not to communicate with someone. The other thing that I kind of get is that maybe you have some strong emotions under the surface. Either that, or if this is somebody else's energy, there's someone who really, really wants to communicate to you, but they're not talking. Either that, or if you do end up speaking with them, it's very stilted communication. Have you ever, it's almost like this person's going to be almost acting strange in the way that they talk to you, because there's something emotional that they want to say to you, but they can't come out and say it. They refuse to. They're like pushing down those emotions. But if it's your energy, you're not listening. You're not going to let your heart rule your head, right? Now, by the middle of the week, this is really interesting. This is interesting, guys. Middle of the week, you got the Ace of Cups. And the Ace of Cups, it's almost like the sun rising, right? Maybe either, again, maybe this person comes out and starts talking to you. Maybe they tell you how they feel. Or maybe you tell somebody else how you feel. Either that or... maybe something in the middle of the week just makes you feel kind of good, because I feel like a lot of this energy it's a lot of balancing. It's a lot of balancing. The other thing that I kind of get is that maybe you're feeling a lot and it's like you can't talk about it or you can't do anything about it. And then by the middle of the week, you feel like you can let it out, or maybe you have a heartfelt conversation with someone. But the other thing that I get is that there's a lot of white birds here, which make me think of the dove of peace. So it's quite possible that you might, if this is someone that you feel like you've been kind of having a verbal stalemate with, there might be some communication that feels like rays coming out from the heavens, and, almost like this restriction is lifted a little bit. Now, we're about to have a tarot on the Ace of Cups. So if you get a chance to, if you really want to elaborate on that energy, please check out that video. It'll be posted on Tuesday. But I would check that out. But the Ace of Cups can be a wellspring within yourself, but or it can be someone, bringing you that cup of love. Like you meet someone that you just feel like, there are doves, flying, and, rays of God, shining from behind this person. I know that's crazy energy, because it's interesting. The beginning of the week is all restricted, and the middle of the week is like, oh, and then the end of the week it's back to restriction, back to balance, back to restriction. One last way that I can kind of read this, guys, is that if this is your energy, you are trying not to be tempted. Like, you just don't want to give into these emotions. And it's almost like I'm sensing a flipping and a flopping here. Beginning of the week, you're holding tight and you're like, okay, I'm not going to give in, not going to cave, but you're pushing your emotions down. Right? The other thing I kind of get is I'm not going to be the first one to text. They got to text me first. So maybe there's some kind of standoff. Someone's drawn a line in the sand. Well, you need to communicate first. No, I'm not going to go. It's got to be you. And then maybe somebody does communicate, and it does in the middle of the week. It feels like that, like, okay, the restriction has lifted. But by the end of the week, this is what's interesting, is that, the stalemate is ended, but then it almost goes right back to the gloomy waters. And this time, that cup that was in the middle of the week that looks so glorious, now the person's ignoring the cup, right? And he's looking down at the 3 cups in the water again. And it is a different moon cycle, too. Now, one other way that I can kind of read this is that maybe if you don't have a good go at relationships, and I know sometimes dating can feel this way too. Sometimes you try, I always call it the Zoom, when you like somebody, it's like being on a roller coaster. It's like you're strapped into the car. You can't, you're going to go over the hill and there's nothing you can do about it. What I'm almost kind of getting is like you're resisting, you refuse to be the one to cave, and then you do finally cave, and it feels like that Zoom, like, oh my gosh, they're so cool, they're so funny, they're so beautiful, again, the light, the rays of light part. But then, then the next day or a few days later, Sometimes it can be a matter of days, and not to, I know that sounds extremely fickle, but have you ever done that? Because there's highs and lows, especially with digital dating, which I think a lot of us are doing. I think that's all there is now. I don't think anybody is meeting anybody in person, which is okay, for social distancing, but it can be a lot of ups and downs, right? The other thing that I kind of get with this is that maybe there's some highs and lows going. Um, that is one other way I read this, is that maybe you were really holding out, like someone has not been contacting you, you've been waiting for them to contact you, but you're like, and again, you're ignoring the fact that you're stirred up inside. You're like, no, that I'm not going to be the first to reach out. They got to reach out to me. And then they finally do, and then it's like, all is well in the world, right? But then they go back into the radio silence, and then it's just kind of like, you go right back into the gray colored glasses. Um, but I'm almost getting a sense, that if this is either you or the other person, this person's really resisting you, or you are really resisting the other person. I do think in the middle of the week you're going to have that connection that feels really good. It just feels really good. But then it's almost like at the end of the week you're sabotaging it again, right? Beginning of the week you're like, okay, we're not going to do this. I don't care how I feel. My feelings, I'm going to put them on a shelf. Doesn't matter. But then middle of the week you take your feelings off the shelf and you just feel so good. You feel that connection. You feel that nurturance. But then by the end of the week, it's right back to, and again, someone offering you that cup, and how good that feels. Yeah, what I'm getting is, I know how good that cup feels, but I'm just going to pretend like it's not there. I'm not going to look at it, right? And now, the root of that 4 cups energy, so beginning of the week, you're really fighting it. Middle of the week, you let go, and you feel the emotions, and it feels so good. But then by the end of the week, you know what it is that it's almost like you're shutting it down again. But the root of that is another 2, right? And that's the 2 of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. So what I can kind of read this as is that, this could be like, you might kind of be putting love on the back burner because you have other financial responsibilities right now. It's almost like you can't be distracted by love because it's almost like you're doing a balancing act, right? The other thing I'm getting is you have to keep climbing. I'm hearing you have to keep climbing. Maybe you're focused on your career right now and you just really don't want to. But whatever's happening with this cup of love, it's very tempting. It feels really good. The other thing that I kind of get is that maybe there's... This cup of love is very addictive because I talked about it, when you talk about any ace, the aces are a springboard, right? They're a jump off point, but they can either end up being the end all be all, like it can be the happily ever after, like the Ace of Cups can go the distance and become the Queen of Cups, become the King of Cups, or it can become those 3 spilled cups, right? And what I'm thinking is that I almost get this feeling like you think it's a trap. You think it's a trap. There's someone or some kind of love situation that you are really drawn to, but you are pushing it down. You're like, no, I don't feel anything for this person. Love never works out for me. I'm just going to pretend like I don't care about him. It's going to be okay. I'm going to ignore him. But then you cave and you have a really strong connection and you feel it. It feels so good. Almost like addiction. The other thing is, when you get love, it gives you a hit of endorphins to the brain. It's like getting high. It's very, very, that's also why some people, the other thing that I kind of get from this is that there are people, and not to knock anyone, but there are people out there who serial date because the high the endorphins that gets released from meeting someone new, that honeymoon period of talking to someone new, it does that. So one other thing that I'm kind of seeing here is that maybe if this is either you or your person, you might be cautious because you don't want the Zoom to Zoom you, right? You don't want to be caught up in that, give me the next hit, right? So I think it's almost like you're trying to bring yourself down, or to not, pretend like the cup isn't there, because you don't want to get sucked into it. I am getting kind of a sense like you don't want to lose control either, because the King of Pentacles is a very practical person. It's almost like saying, okay, I'm not going to look at that cup behind me, because the other thing I kind of get is that you feel like it's led you astray before, so it's like you're afraid it's going to be too good to be true. So you're trying to stay logical, in a practical way. The other thing that I'm kind of getting is that you're kind of ignoring it for a health reason. Because the other thing is that I kind of look at the King of Pentacles like the doctors, like maybe you have in the past, really gone for the Zoom, or, and you're trying not to fall into that again. The other thing is I get that, again, with the full moon looking like the two pentacles, and the two pentacles being practicality, I think you're trying to balance yourself. You're trying to keep yourself balanced. It's not that you think love is bad. It's just you're not, it can be a slippery slope if you don't want to get hurt. The other thing that I kind of see is that because, emotions and pentacles, it's quite possible that maybe, again, you have responsibilities right now, and you don't have time, like you don't have the luxury of being able to date or to go out right now. But I am getting more of a sense like there's like a fear here, or there's an apprehension that what's being offered to you is too good to be true. And by the end of the week, it's almost like you're pulling back into yourself. You might be pulling away. You might have someone who's calling you, or someone that you feel real attracted to, but you're staying balanced, and you're focusing on focusing on the practical, and you're ignoring the cup that's being offered to you. You're like, no, I don't need that. I'm not going to fall for it. I'll be okay. And what you got is you got the Hermit. And in this deck, it's the Nine of Diamonds, which is the Nine of Pentacles, which is a very independent card. So that does speak of a lot of... The other thing is, again, Pentacles or Diamonds are health. So, I do think... the other thing, that the Hermit is really about reflecting on the past. And I really see that with the 3 cups that are floating out in the ocean. It's almost like you're reflecting on the past, and you're like, okay, it's proven, and we've said it before, doing the same thing over and over. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So maybe you think that this cup is the same thing. You've been there, done that. And again, your advice is to really, the Hermit, the Nine of Diamonds, is introspection. In Emma, Mr. Woodhouse focuses his energy inward to take care of his health and comfort. Wow, health and comfort, guys. Yeah, so that's the other thing, is that maybe you feel like if you can be a man or a woman watching this, maybe you feel like love just... The other thing I'm kind of getting is that the love just takes your money. It's not worth it. The other thing is that I get a strong sense that you're trying to be practical, and introspection for your health and for your comfort, right? I think you're trying not to be tempted by something, but there's definitely a strong pull. The only other thing is that I do see a lot of night here. There's a lot of night. I think that you stay up late at night, like kind of worrying about this. I do think there's a lot of emotions churning under the surface. You have a lot of emotions, and I think the other thing is that you're trying to control them. Now, the King of Pentacles, he's not an over-emotional guy. He's a very practical guy. like he's very reliable. He's like steady like a rock, you know. He's always there, but you know what I'm kind of getting here is just that I think that you are being responsible and you're doing the right thing, and I think you are very reliable. But I do think that that does make you feel a little. It makes you feel a little depressed. Um, and one caution is that with this many twos, because you got two, two, and four. Um, you know, it is great to be grounded. It's great to be practical. But I do also think that you need to let your emotions have a little bit of expression. It's not a bad thing to think about your past and to think about your comfort and to put your comfort first. And definitely relationships can do that. They can be very tempting. It is like a hit to the brain, you know, when you start feeling those feelings for someone. And especially if you did have a history of kind of falling easily or falling quickly, you know, it is, I almost get the sense like you're kind of saving yourself from the Zoom. You know, you're not going to be pulled in by it. You're going to, you know, pull away and pull into yourself and think about your past experiences. You're going to keep a practical, you know, mindset. But that practical mindset, the one thing that I'm kind of seeing here is because twos are a teeter-totter, right? You know, one minute you're up, next minute you're down. But the other thing is that anytime it's a head over heart situation, those waves can churn up, and you've seen how powerful water is, right? You've seen those storms where waves come in like a tsunami and just wipe away everything. You don't want to let your emotions get to that kind of strength, right? Absolutely pull into yourself. um, but that's the other thing here is that maybe you're pulling away in order to make sure that you don't do anything impulsive. But I do get a sense that in the middle of the week you're gonna feel again. This is the one where the light is coming out, you know, and the water looks happy, right? Um, but maybe by the end of the week and over the holiday, you are going to pull away just to get a good bearing on it. And if you have been hurt in the past in relationships, I think what you might do is you might be reining yourself in a little bit just to make sure that you're not doing anything, um, uh, you know, not letting your emotions run the show. But I do think that you do need to let your emotions kind of have a little bit of freedom. You need to exercise them a little bit. Um, but the Four of Cups is not a bad card. It is just a little bit, it's a card of lethargy. It's almost like you just don't have the energy or the will to look at that right now. And it might quite possibly be because you're very busy at work. You know, everything is going on successfully at work, and you don't want anything risking, you know, throwing that off kilter. So you'd rather pull within, you know, to focus on your own solace and your own comfort. But I think by the end of the week you are going to have a good week. I just think that I do feel a little bit of a teeter totter, you know, throughout the week and by the holiday, between your practicalness and your emotions. Um, with a real bright spot in the middle of the week, and this is real interesting. I don't know if this is someone that you start talking to, that just really brightens your whole day. Um, but then, you know, by the end of the week it's back to business. And you know, the other thing is I think that you're considering your money as well. I think you might be kind of intentionally putting relationships to the side to make sure that you stay balanced with your finances and that you don't get into anything until you're ready. But wow, guys, all three piles were really good. There was no bad energy. It's some very mellow energy this week, guys. I'm seeing the other thing is I'm seeing a lot again, a lot of cups, and a lot of, you know, a lot of intentional control over the emotions. That's some interesting energy. But But I hope that you have a good week, and I thank you so much for joining me. I will be back on Tuesday with the first card of our last suit. I can't believe we're talking about the last suit of the tarot, but we're going to be talking about the beautiful Ace of Cups. So I hope you can join me then, and I'll catch you later. Bye.